one of you realizes, the better it will be for us.
Yes, quickly, I'll be addressing a very viral video that we watched towards the weekend, towards the beginning of this week, about fire extinguisher and its use. And so many professionals have made comments concerning the fire and the extinguishing agent that was used. Some said the CO2 shouldn't have been used. Some said the CO2 might have expired. Some said the environment has abundance of oxygen. And some even said the person was not competent enough because it wasn't aiming at the base of the extinguisher. And some also mentioned that the container, the wheelbarrow, which contained the paper that was used as fuel, might have absorbed enough heat, which will have not made it easy for the fire to be extinguished. Once they extinguish, it will reignite. So one of the group that I belong to, the Nigerian Institution of Safety Engineers, if you want to become a member of this group, you can drop your name in the comment section and let us add you. Talking about what happened, when you look at the video, there are a lot of comments. We'll be breaking it down into two, talking about the CO2 in its use and talking about the fuel being used. Talking about the applicable fire extinguisher to use for Class A fire. You can correct me if I'm wrong. The use of water fire extinguishers, use of foam spray extinguisher, and wet chemical extinguisher, and also DCP. I think these are the requirements for Class A fire that are recommended. And if you look at the video, what was used was CO2, which might not be good also if you look at the condition of the environment, because while they were igniting, it was coming off. So from the angle of those who said the condition of the environment, there was excess CO2, there was excess oxygen, in the environment, that even after the CO2 has done its work, because of the availability of oxygen in abundance, definitely you still have the fire coming up, because as we also said, the metal still has the source of heat. So that would have been the cause why the fire kept on igniting. Talking about CO2, this is how CO2 works. CO2 works basically in two principles. Number one, it's a good cooling agent. So with the cooling capacity, it can take up the heat. Another way is that CO2 is denser than air, so denser than oxygen, so it displaces oxygen. So that is how it works. And probably because, like we said, the environment, there was abundance of oxygen, so it might not have worked very well. So from there, when you look at the second video, yes, which we are showing you now, shows a situation where they're trying to practicalize and tell us the limitation of CO2, even though they have limited the use of CO2 from the video, because based on people's comment, they said there was not enough CO2 in that particular fire extinguisher from the beginning, and it was not aimed at the base. And when you look at the preparation, you will see that the fuel was poured on the ground, meaning that the ground must have absorbed enough fuel. You know, in Yoruba we say, when we put cow skin pomo inside steel, you will say "o mota." So it might have motilized, you get. So it means that even when they extinguish the surface fire, because of the absorbed fuel that still comes off, that is still present, definitely you will still be having enough fire. Why people said that CO2 is not recommended for some outdoor conditions, we can also recommend it for small rooms, for indoor situations, because like we said, it displaces oxygen, and that means that when there's no oxygen, it can have adverse effect on the health of those present inside the room. So what's your thought about this? Basically, I believe that from the first video, there is still heat present. Even though they try to extinguish the fire, the source of heat, the heat that has been absorbed by the melter is possible. And also the presence of abundance of oxygen might have led to the reigniting of this fire. What is your thought? From the second video, we can see that the DCP was used and it extinguished the fire immediately. Why? Because DCP will always form a thin coat layer that separates the oxygen from the fuel. So unlike the CO2 that only displaces the oxygen, the DCP will form a thin layer and will extinguish the fire completely. And I think this is a very good one to use. So at the end of the day, we always recommend the use of DCP fire extinguishers for Class A fires, for Class B fires, for electrical fires, and I think they work very fine. What is your thought? What is your opinion? Like we said, it's another episode of Settlement Waliola. Drop it in your comment section and remember to subscribe. Thank you and God bless you.
The earlier we realize this, the earlier every one of you realize it, the better it will be for us.